how should brands think about their branding exercises now differently than perhaps they did a year ago?
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, first off, good to be here. Thank you, Kevin. I would say in some ways nothing's changed, right? At the end of the day, whether pre-COVID, during COVID, after COVID, 5 years ago, 20 years ago, brand still matters, right? Like you can't just launch something and not have a clear differentiating factor. You can't have a clear value prop and expect to succeed and scale, right? You might be able to get to a couple $1 million in sales and so forth, but you need a brand. And a brand is not just a logo, as we both know. It's not just aesthetics. A brand is why you exist. I'm a big fan of Simon Sinek, and if anyone hasn't seen it, it's just an amazing, there's like a 12-minute version, a 5-minute version on YouTube about why brands exist. And he talks about Apple as one of the best ones to understand that, and most companies do not. And the why, the how, and the what. Most know how and what, hopefully, but the why, many people don't really understand why a company exists, even if they're a very senior level. So to me, brand is that. It's why do you exist? What purpose do you serve in your consumer's life, where that consumer is, right? B2B or B2C. And then articulating that through marketing, through your product experience, of course, product first and foremost. So, that question is always interesting to me because I feel like some people, I'm sure you would probably agree, get lost on brand and a logo, or get lost on brand as in like TV advertising. And brand is really, why do you exist? What role do you serve in consumers' life? What makes you unique? What's the value you're providing? And then everything else is a tactic that manifests outside of brand. So I think COVID, yes, changes the distribution mechanism, right? So D2C e-commerce has become much more relevant. I also think this year, especially, we're seeing brands have to, for the first time ever, take almost not political sides, but take a step into what values they stand for. It doesn't mean you're picking red or blue, but you might say, hey, we really care about equity and inclusion, and we're going to do it by promoting and recruiting more diverse candidates and employees, right? And internally in our workforce, we're going to put more people of color, more minorities, have more same-sex families and relationships, and we're highlighted in our creative marketing, right? So those are the values I think some brands are really stepping into, and there's values across the board, right? Those are just a couple of examples, but I think brand now coming out of this year, not COVID related, but around all the other social issues we've had, is going to matter more. And then thirdly, I'd say beyond all the things I just mentioned, brand is also your employees, right? People often forget, like, your employees are your best brand ambassadors, and people read social media and they read Glassdoor, and they know when employees aren't treated well, or they're treated with disrespect, whether you're a driver or a delivery person or you're an executive, that stuff matters.